Hi all, it's Barbara Appleby, and here at Appleby Cottage, I've got a new release today. Finally got my book back, Steamboat Ledger Papers of the Nicholas Wall. And I just want to tell you a little bit about this and about the Nicholas Wall in general. Okay, a riverboat ledger preserved for more than 150 years. A nation rebuilding after the Civil War. Okay, the Civil War's been here, it's done gone. And the story, the United States is rebuilding. This is a story told in ink, numbers, and the steady work of river life. You know, there was no other way to transport things that got a lot of things moved when it needed to be moved. This rare volume presents the complete 1872 ledger of the steamer Nicholas Wall, including day books, freight logs, passenger records, cash books, and the business papers of Jonathan Jones and Company. Every page is reproduced in full color, capturing the handwriting, aging, and the quiet beauty of the authentic 19th century river commerce. For history lovers, steamboat enthusiasts, artists, if you're writing a book in this time period, and if it's got a steamboat in it, you need these. It's a glimpse into the riverboats that carried America forward. And of course, there's the book cover. And I just want to tell you, all the pages is in full color. And I done this so that you could see the ink, the beautiful, beautiful handwriting. And the inventory, let's just take you to one of what fascinates me the most. And I can pick this up and look at it anytime I want to and not touch the original papers. This was the Nicholas steamer, the Nicholas Wall, from St. Louis to New Orleans. And all three of the trips are to New Orleans. They stop at Cairo too. This J.B. Banston left St. Louis, and his company business was the S Banks. I have no idea. And 2,000 sacks of corn that weighed in at 256,000 pounds, rate at $5. They paid the steamboat company $128 to move it for them. Okay, and B. Stewart and Company, leaving St. Louis again, and this was flour, pork, and whiskey. And John Finley, and he left Cairo. They picked him up in Cairo, and destination New Orleans. And he had 303,560 sacks of corn and tobacco. This Milton, they picked him up in Memphis, and he had 500 bales of cotton and 180 barrels of tobacco. Now, I don't know how good you can see this. And the reason I've got the pages together exactly how they was in the steamboat actual ledgers, so that you can look at everything as you go. I love looking in here and seeing how much the cooks got paid. That just fascinated me. And I like it because they show the little logos that was on the barrels and stuff. The river's where it all began. Our country went through the Civil War. It was in rough shape. But because they had the steamboats, they were getting back into prosperity after the Civil War. It was a long, tedious journey, but it happened. Can you imagine being there and waiting for the steamer? You could hear the whistles, the bells. It's the whistles before the boat gets there, because it announces itself that they're going to be there with the bells. And the whistle, what I'm trying to think of. And as it slowly goes in, let me get down to this. The Nicholas wall got put down, it sunk twice. The first time it sunk, it hit a snag, and what they called snags was trees and tree limbs, and it was in the water, and it hit it one, and it sunk the first time. Well, they raised it with a submarine. It says Submarine 14. They raised the Nicholas wall back up. Well, after that, about 2.5 years later, it hit another snag and went down. This one was really bad. The top of the deck and the middle deck was full of immigrants and horses and wagons, cattle, sheep, whatever they were transporting to get to their new homes. There was 38 cabins, people in the cabins that died. Altogether, I think there was 98 people died on that steamboat disaster. The Captain Poe, did not find his wife, and he knew that she was in the cabin. And he took an axe and started cutting the roof to get to his wife. But in the process, the wood was rotten. Whenever he hit it hard enough, it went through the roof and into her head. She lived for 3 days, and then she died. There was they didn't try to do anything with the Nicholas wall again after that. One of the pieces of the Nicholas wall engine that they needed, they took off and used. Captain Poe did in another boat that he was captain of later. Let me read you one of the graphic accounts of the scene. A correspondence. This is from the Memphis Public Ledger article. Memphis Public Ledger, December the 25th of 1870. Okay. A correspondent sends the following graphic accounts of the Nicholas Wall disaster to the St. Louis Times. On Sunday night, about 10 o'clock, the boat struck a snag and soon began to fill with water. In 3 minutes, the hurricane roof gave way, which together with the plows, wagon wheels, running gear, barrels of beef, and all above, came down upon the 200 inmates of the steamer. Fortunately for the deck passengers, most of them had their beds out of the cabin and on the outer guards, and as the deck was soon filled with water, they would have been buried in the water. Men leaped from the steamer into the water, and a number swam to shore a distance of 200 yards. Others perished in the attempt. Large numbers were crushed to death. Fortunately for the saved, the steamer Samoil was in sight, and Captain Scott showed himself a noble representative of his kind, generous and humane. The Sequoia received all of the saved, and the captain and his officers, with some of the officers and other persons of the unfortunate steamer, searched diligently and rescued many who were extracted by having holes in through where the danger, with every stroke that the axe would enter their bodies being cut out. They were lifted through the roof and cut out from the wreckage. Captain Poe's wife, the axe penetrated her head. Mrs. Poe, it is hoped that she will recover, but she didn't. She died too, a couple days later. From the survivors, we have gained a terrible view of the dreadful calamity. Some were so tightly pressed between the cabin floor and the hurricane roof, with parts of wagons, plows, and other ponderous articles over them, that they could not move an inch without pain, while half their bodies were in the chilling water. life fast ebbing away from the loss of blood and the freezing waters, while many were commending their souls to God, neither expecting to see their friends again. Alas, for deprived humanity, others were cursing. The citizens of the place, with only a few exceptions, evidenced but little sympathy for the suffering. One passenger, having on the boat property to the amount of $20,000 insured, could not get a bed or any food. And another one, worth all of $60,000, lived on crackers and rested on the floor of a deserted house. From the best information before us, after careful inquiry, we believe 70 persons were lost and 100 persons were saved. One immigrant family found 10 of their number gone. We had our trunks and some groceries on the ill-fated steamer. Having business at Memphis for a few hours, we escaped the fate of many. Taking passages on the Magenta, we came to the wreck after the Samoa had taken such excellent care of the survivors. Those wishing to go to Vicksburg were well cared for by Captain Neal, and even after landing in Vicksburg, he kept several on his steamer to the mouth of the Red River. The majority had nothing to pay. Captain Poe returned a part of the passage money to the survivors, and we are anxious to make record in justice of Captain Poe and the Carter Line. Very generously and nobly did Captain Scott of Samoa and Captain Neal of the Magenta act, giving time, food, and free passage to the unfortunates. As we passed the wreckage, the roof of the pilot house was all that was visible. And here we saw some heartbroken survivors still at work in the chilling waters, trying to find bodies of their loved and lost. On the Magenta were some who had been badly burned and mangled. One mother was saved with her baby of 2 months of age. We sat by her listening to her sad tale, and the tears falling fast as she relates the wondrous story of her rescue. Another lady is scalded and suffering so much that she could hardly survive. Well, that's just a piece of what I know. These are old newspaper articles. I'm going to try to put them in one of the books. I have going to do a book of miscellaneous things because I've got old receipts and things that were in the ledgers. And this is what I'm working with. See these? They're very fragile. And I'm trying to be very, very careful with them. I've had them for 60 years, and that's all I've got for today. And I want to tell everybody God bless and take care of yourself. Goodbye now.